Hey everyone, it's Bob the BA, and the secret word for today is cannabis. Imagine if Pee Wee Herman's shows had secret words like cannabis. Then again, some of his secret words might have been code for that. I don't know. Zizibaluba, that was one of my favorites. So, why cannabis? Where are we going with this, Bob? That's what you're probably going to ask. I got a call from the oncologist, and he wanted to talk about quality of life since I've decided to stop chemo, and he wanted to start considering what the future is going to look like. And one of those things is pain management. And so pain management comes down to just a couple of options. The third option is not doing anything, which is really not going to work. The other two options come down to the opioid path or a cannabis path. Now, on the first sound of that, for many of you, it's like, well, that's obvious. Cannabis. Well, it's not so obvious for me. I mean, I don't want to do opioids because I don't like their effects. I don't like how they feel. I've had them before. But I also don't know that much about cannabis. Now, I'm not that green, um, pun intended. I've inhaled before, but it's never been my drug of choice. For me, a good glass of, Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand will get me every time, or green wine from Chile. It's been very exciting to encounter. Also fond of a Cabernet Merlot from France. But moving on beyond the wine, I needed to get some answers from my oncologist, and we had a good 40-minute discussion just on the cannabis part. Now, he also called to talk about another aspect of quality of life. That'll be in another video. And both of these are major decisions that I have to make because they involve, effort. They involve money, of course. They involve what's going on with me emotionally, physically, etc. So, right off the bat, I'm like, you got to tell me more about it because I have concerns. I've never liked the lack of control that I get from that. And he's like, that's completely justified. And that's when he started to feed me information so I could change my bias. Now, that's one of the things that's very important going into conversations about cancer is to remove your bias because what you think you know isn't always going to be the truth. And, hearing cannabis or pot or marijuana or ganja, a joint, a doobie, and I don't know if I even know any more terms than that. I'm not that experienced in that area. People have a bias to those words, they come with an association. So we need to ask more questions. So the first things that I learned were talking about the differences in medical marijuana and how they're regulated these days and how they're formulated to do different things. So, you have to kind of look at what you need and what it can do for you, and then they will figure out the best path for how to use the cannabis and what type. So there's the CBD side, which I'm sure a lot of people have heard about, CBD oil and things of that nature. That's kind of like a day regimen. And then there's the THC side, and that's the stuff that generally puts people out of control, but also relaxes people, loosens them up. So the pros of a THC evening is that you're going to sleep better, you're going to be more relaxed, it's going to take care of pain that way. And then the CBD side is more about the healing and removing pain from the daytime perspective without losing control. So they actually have this, multi-pronged approach that they can do. And that led to conversations about, we're going to have to meet with the pharmacist at the, dispensary for the cannabis because apparently they've got an entire package of things. It's going to be like walking into a candy store because there's a welcome package, and then there's a starter package, and then there's a median package, and there's a, hey, I'm 3 months in package, and it just goes on and on and on. And does that surprise anyone? Of course not. It's commerce. Again, don't get me started because part of why I think, they'll never cure cancer is because there's too much commerce tied into it. And the cannabis is certainly commerce that has gone crazy. Now, for some of you, you won't have the option to talk about cannabis Medical marijuana is only legal in 33 states, I believe, if that number is correct for the moment. So that's about two-thirds, almost. But it's not available everywhere. Doesn't mean you can't get it otherwise, but you know, that's a whole different topic that I don't need to know about. Although I do know I have friends with connections, and God bless each and every one of them. They've already offered it all up to me. Oh, I can get you some edibles. I was like, it's good to know. They're like, you won't get high at all. You know, you'll just be relaxed. I'm like, you won't feel a thing. Of course, then I had another friend who someone told her that she wouldn't get high at all. And she was like, oh my God, I thought I was taking acid. It was the most terrible thing of my life. And I was so angry. Well, what I'm hoping here is because it's regulated and it's medical, and I'll be working with an oncologist and a pharmacist, both together, they'll formulate the right program for me. And it's going to require some trial, and effort around it because I'm a bigger person. We're going to have to figure things out, and we'll be experimenting. Now, having said that, you've got all the things that you got to figure out about pros and cons with pain management, and if cannabis is right for you. What if the pain's too strong for the cannabis to affect? Well, I may still need an opioid at that point. How do I get that? That leads into the next topic in the next video, which is another major decision that I have to make, and one I'm not ready to make today. But I did make the decision to move forward with cannabis. And so, by the way, you have to get certified. That's easy enough because your oncologist will verify that this person's been in pain, and I have been in pain. I haven't been in constant pain, but I've had enough pain to qualify. But there's another reason why he wanted me to start sooner. And that's because there's not enough research going on with human trials because of the legality around the drug. And so if I start it sooner, they can get more information if I'm willing to participate. So there's two things happening here. A, I could be helpful to the rest of the world by providing more data, doing it sooner. And two, they can't prove yet whether or not it staves off cancer or helps cure it, but there are rumors and certain people have had those benefits. So why wouldn't I do that if there's a chance that this could give me an extra 2 months? What if cannabis happens to be the miracle drug for me? Because apparently it's been the case for a few people, but not most. So, the first thing they say, it's not going to cure it. But we don't know anything for the most part about this because most of the trials are done on mice. Don't get me started on that because, I'm very pet friendly. And yes, mice can be pets too. Ratatouille, that's what I'm going to say about that. So between that, and understanding the pain medication side of it, can you get the data ahead? Will I get some advantages by starting it sooner and not just focusing on the pain management side, but to see if it impacts my cancer? There's a lot of things to consider there. So I did make that decision, and the oncologist will certify you. You fill out some forms. You have to pay a couple $100 to the state. I'm sure that a dollar amount is different in every state. In Minnesota, it was $200. It's a pretty easy form to fill out. You give your license, and after that, you got to have that main meeting, and then you just keep going through. So I will have to have some blood work done every month, which scares the heck out of me with COVID and everything else. But I'll be wearing an N95 mask, and I will get in 10 minutes and get out and not be anywhere near. The only person will be the one nurse that gets to touch me and remove my blood, and then I will go home and I will shower like mad. Paranoia of COVID. So I guess the last thing to talk about with relation to cannabis, I really feel it's the right thing to do to be a part of a study. And so it's not a formal trial, but I'm going to give away all my data as much as I can gather, and whatever they're going to ask for, I'm going to give to them because it could help future people. And I think that's the right thing to do. I haven't even gotten to the point where should I be considering giving my body over to science? Those are other things I've got to consider as well. Um, for me, I don't have a problem with that because it's not my body that I'm even concerned with. I mean, that's just the shell, it's the energy, the soul, the other things. That's all another topic for another day as well. So that's where I'm at. I'm agreeing to move forward. Um, I'll be in control in the day, and at night, I'll get to sleep. And I think that's a good 1-2 punch and sounds a lot better than the uncontrollable aspects and the detrimental side effects of opioids. And if I need an opioid, then that will come into the next conversation in the next video where we need to talk about a new secret word. And it has a lot of stigma around it, but I'm not going to tell you what that is yet.